Dance has recently gone through the argument of, is it a sport or is it an art? The physicality is so deceptive in ballet. You often are in tutus or corsets that suck you in and you can barely breathe, and you have to dance for long stretches of time and not appear to be exhausted, and to have this air and this illusion of this is really nothing. I would say that I was an athlete in many, many ways.
As a child growing up in Chicago, Endalyn Taylor was born to dance.
She was always trying to tell me something, even then, by the way she would move, and she would walk on her toes all the time. So her dad thought something was wrong with her because she would walk around on tippy toes.
My mom had a dear friend whose house we would go over to, and this particular evening she had on The Tonight Show, and Tiny Tim was the guest, and he was singing his famous song, Tiptoe Through the Tulips. So I got on top of her table and I started dancing.
She was so good that we stopped watching the television and we would watch her.
And she said to my mom, you need to put her in ballet because the dancing she's doing, it looks very specific. My mom took her advice, and that was kind of the beginning of my journey.
Endalyn joined Mayfair Academy of Fine Arts on Chicago's South Side and fell in love with ballet.
But as she got older, we decided to take her to Ruth Page's studio because someone suggested that she needed a better school.
There it was a little different. I was suddenly isolated in a way because in many of my classes I was the only, if not one of 2 or 3 kids of color. Mikhail Baryshnikov, very famous ballet dancer, he was the artistic director of American Ballet Theater, and they would also take class at Ruth Page. He saw me dancing, and he saw me jump particularly, which is my specialty. He came over to me, he thought I was a very talented dancer and wanted me to audition for American Ballet Theater the next time they held auditions. That made some of the other students who had been a little resistant to me being there welcome me in. But it was also a moment that let me know, again, you're on the right track. So when they came into town, the gentleman who did hold the audition, he kept me to the end and then pulled me over to the side, and he said, you're a beautiful dancer. But he said, your type, you really should stick to modern or jazz, which was crushing to me because I could only imagine that he was talking about the color of my skin. He didn't see me do modern or jazz, so he wouldn't know if I was proficient at it or not. So to have that moment of joy and affirmation kind of dash with this cold water of racism, yeah, that was a moment. I started auditioning, and Dance Theatre of Harlem came to Chicago, and it was absolutely amazing. For me, it was the first time I saw brown ballerinas on point in tutus, doing a repertoire that ranged from the extreme classical to contemporary works. And now I had role models to look up to where it was not just accepted to be a black dancer, but it was the norm. And it was the expectation.
She eventually became a principal dancer with the legendary Dance Theatre of Harlem. It gave her a chance to travel the world and inspire others through dance.
So I came up to Dance Theatre of Harlem today to work with Ingrid Silva, who will be working on a project with me entitled Counterpoint, and who is currently a principal dancer with Dance Theatre of Harlem.
I met Miss Taylor in 2008 here at Dance Theatre of Harlem, and I was just arrived from Brazil. She has so many special things that she shares. She has her experience as a professional and a principal dancer with the company, the way she explains about the history. And to me, that's one of the most grateful things, because when I started dancing, I had someone to look up to understand more about classical ballet, about having more brown ballerinas. So what a change, having someone that can explain to you all those details to become a professional dancer and a better human being as well.
As Mr. Mitchell would always say, picture, you know?
After years of touring with the company, Endalyn got married and had a child. Wanting stability for her young family, she decided to take her talents to Broadway.
She just went and auditioned for Broadway and she got it. I knew that Endalyn's that type of person. She's just gonna go.
She appeared in the Tony Award-winning productions of Carousel, Aida, and The Lion King. It was during The Lion King where she used her ballet training to balance a wide variety of characters.
I had 16 costume changes. As a ballerina, you do portray a number of different things, but you are really stretched when you're wearing the animal on your body.
For tonight, we've got Kids Night at the Fabulous Fox. With Disney's The Lion King, we have 1,000 free kids tickets to give out to the community. So a bunch of kids coming to the theater for the first time. We are thrilled to have Endalyn Taylor here doing a dance demo. With her being one of the original lionesses, we thought it would be a great asset to bring her to share with our community some of the choreography and have all the kids acting like lions with her. So it should be really fun.
Right? So you might take cover and jump up and take cover. If more kids could experience this, I think that it would change their perspective about what the arts can do and maybe make them aspire to do it or just to become avid showgoers. I think that will be the best result.
Endalyn continues to strive to make dance more accessible to audiences of all kinds.
It is a great opportunity for us to use our gifts as a platform. Many times you can talk about or introduce a subject that may not be so easy for people to welcome into their world verbally because it can be hard.
Endalyn is using the power of dance to shed light on important issues, such as her recent work, Chalk Lines.
Chalk Lines is a piece about the proliferation of violence in the African American community. And this focuses more on the persevering spirit of people of color and the determination to continue to live rather than dwell on the fear of these things happening to our children on a daily basis.
In 2017, Endalyn returned to New York to perform Chalk Lines at the American Dance Guild Festival. The piece included fellow dance professor Kamal Nance and several of their students from the University of Illinois.
The feedback has been amazingly powerful. Unfortunately, the relevancy of the piece is still here, but people have responded to it with gratitude and just gives people pause for thought.
Back at Illinois, Endalyn Taylor is training the newest generation of performers who share the same dream she once had as a young dancer in Chicago.
Never underestimate the power of you. I'm my best competition. I'm my greatest strength. So obviously you train hard, you work to master all of the skill sets, but never forget that what you have that no one else has is your unique perspective.